Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Andy, good job this season. Good job the Super Bowl. Really well played. I won more money with the Rams, but it was less enjoyable. I don't know that I will ever have a Super Bowl that I enjoy more than the one we just watched.
It's funny we were talking about the Denver one. Like it was an ass beating, and I think I brought it up at halftime. I said I was at a party and the party just kind of died during that Denver Seattle one, and sure. I think it's because I didn't bet on that game.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
You were like, side's probably fine.
Yeah. I don't know what the deal was. Like, an ass beating is fun when you're on the right side of it. Like, yeah, fuck yeah, no doubt. Got the, because we really didn't waver off our, I think the Eagles pass rush is good, and I think the Eagles are a better team. So that felt good. I was on the under. That didn't feel as good.
Well, you got the second half over home. So
second half over. Took care of some of that. Yellow Gatorade was good. MVP market didn't treat us very well.
Yeah, no, I was.
Was that the biggest surprise outside of just the
not really? Not really. Everybody that I talked to on Radio Row, who kind of opinion I cared about, was basically like, there's a way to really kind of make it hard for Barkley, and Spagnuolo's going to do that and make Hurts beat him. Like, that was kind of already in my head that was going to go that way, but I didn't bet any Hurts MVP to cover my ass. And my Barkley MVP position was like 120 at the stake of my Eagles. This was the absolute kind of like resume. Like this was like the fulfilling experience of betting NFL that I've had in my life, because you look for a market for confirmation. You look for, you talk to smart people to get your, to reinforce your position, your feedback. I bet into one of the most liquid books on earth, if not the most. And the limits were up on Monday morning, the 27th. And the Eagles money line ticked from 115 to 116, and I was like, this isn't right. Like, this is gonna get gobbled. I know the Eagles are the right side. Like, I just need to get in now. Limits were up, and I blasted 116 money line. That didn't even show up on unabated. It was like there for such a short period of time. Didn't show up on Wager Talk. You can find it on Spank Odds, but that's it. Like, I bet a line that in a lot of places people would be like, that didn't exist. You must have quoted your price wrong. No, I'm looking at it. I had 116 there. So I caught the Pico top of Eagles money line and for a Super Bowl. I bet a modest amount. The bookmaker respected my opinion enough that it never even got close to back to there, and then on the day of, like, watching the market in the half hour before the game started, you always get a little nervous, in the lead up, like what did I miss? What if I miss something? Like, what if it doesn't go my way? And then watching that number just get absolutely face fucked for the Eagles in like the final hour, half hour, whatever it was just like, it's coming. Like, this is happening. Like,
and it's funny too. Like, was correct. It felt good.
Yes, and this was a Super Bowl line.
Well, it felt good when Circa bumped down from 1.5 to 1 ahead of everybody. It felt good when there was steam, but at the same time, like, it's a little confirmation. You still have to go against one of, like, a top 2 greatest coach of all time.
Yeah.
A top 2 quarterback probably at this point of all time. Like, a lot of things can happen out on the field. You get a silly bounce this way and that way, and shit goes wrong. Luckily, it did go Kelly Green for us, which was nice.
But I've never caught the Pico top on a market this important and in betting, and particularly in the NFL. And so that was that was seriously satisfying and gratifying. And I don't know if it'll ever happen again. So I'm gonna relish it.
Other ones.
Not
There'll be other
catching
Super
the
Bowls.
top,
True.
Yeah, but I don't know that it's ever gonna play like this.
Getting a good number does feel good.
Yeah.
Outside of that, a lot of the prop stuff. Shout out Sammy P. He was really early on the under. There's places that were 125.5 off the open that got slammed. Like there was no controversy if you bet.
You're talking about
Anthem. Yeah.
Yeah.
No controversy if you bet under 125. Shout out Ariel Epstein, who pointed out that tails has come up 52% of the time in the Super Bowl compared to 48. So if you played that trend, she said later she did it tongue in cheek, but it's not how the video played on. Some people gave her some shit for that. Coin trends. Let's say even if there were coin trends, they use a different coin every year. Like it's always some commemorative coin from, that shows up. It's this Super Bowl and all that.
I'm just out of curiosity, what size sample would you need to know you had a loaded coin that was hitting 52? You think?
Probably 2,000.
There's probably some studies. Yeah, there's probably some studies on that, right?
So it's funny enough, there was a white paper that someone shared in one chat of like, they did a study. I think it was like 300,000 flips. And it wasn't so much of heads or tails, but it was comparing it to where the coin was oriented when it was tossed. And it landed a certain way compared to the orientation at like a significant rate, enough to say there was a small edge there, which was something. If months ahead of time you knew which way they were holding the coin, maybe you would have an edge there. It does remind me of God, I don't know if it was an article or maybe it was probably a book, and I think it was on roulette, something like that. No, this was the craps one. Where they just approached the problem
dice
wrong.
Control,
the dice control stuff. They're like, we were trying to figure out how to throw certain numbers, and he's like, we spent months and months and months, and then we finally realized like we can't do this. Like this isn't real. And then we looked at the data and looked at it and realized that in certain configurations of holding the dice and trying to throw it some way, they threw some numbers less often, where they said like, hey, we're throwing this at a significant rate less often than it should come up. So they, then they go out there and do how long do you think that shit lasts? So you go to Vegas, you say, I need to be the one who's throwing at this table. I'm gonna be laying the 4 and the 10. I'm betting against the 4 and the 10 for table max, and I'm not betting when other people are throwing. Like it's one of those things like, wow, we found an edge. And
it's then you go out pretty fragile. It turns out it's fragile.
It turns out that shit's not gonna last very long.
Okay. So. Anyway,
but we got off in the weeds in a hurry there.
Yeah, no, I think there was a lot of other fun kind of sideshow content. Wild stuff. I still, the actual kind of experience of betting and then catching the Pico top and being, just so aggressively confirmed that you're not even sweating it was phenomenal.
It wasn't even the biggest confirmation of the week. Easily the biggest confirmation. Yellow, lime, green.
Oh yeah.
There were places 2 days before the game hanging plus 250. It's funny how far some books went just because they're like, I don't know that they had that much liability that they needed to move it, but places had like minus 250 on game day. I think they just didn't want people betting Gatorade anymore.
Well, they got. I mean, it's such a rat race. It's such a grind. If you're not like managing 100 accounts, I don't know how you're doing anything. In terms of making your day on that stuff. But Godspeed to the people who do and who are interested. Everyone I talked to, from a professional capacity, I didn't get fired by NBC. That was great. Still employed. They're going to send me to the Derby again, which is super exciting. So I got to get my horse racing handicap on. Everyone I talked to who's like opinion football knowers that I respected, I had the same conversation like 10 times with the smartest guys on the smartest podcast, guys and gals. And it was like, here's 50 reasons the Eagles are better than the Chiefs. I'm taking Mahomes. And I was just like, did you not just hear yourself? Like everything you just said.
It's hilarious you right said it that way. Somebody, I can't give him credit because I don't remember who said it, but somebody literally said that in the Deep Dive Discord earlier today. It said a lot of people were like, "Hey, here's all the reasons we love the Eagles, man." And then so they do that for 10 minutes, and then at the end, 5 seconds, man, I can't bet against 15 though.
Yeah, it's
the three reasons were Andy, Patrick, and I mean, if you wanted to give him one more advantage, Butker was a much better kicker, which is really funny now because Elliott was nailed somehow.
Yeah,
I mean, not only did he nail it, but he nailed like all the ones that didn't count because every kick had a penalty. So he made like 10 kicks. Butker never even took an attempt. Not even a PAT. I saw someone did a bridge jumper on that. It was minus 20.
No,
it was minus 220. Excuse me, minus 2,200. He just bet like to win 100, I believe it was, or something, and it was to make at least one extra point. The Chiefs scored 3 times, did not attempt one. Yeah, that's a rough one. That might be that was, I think, over the under 2.5 passers that a lot of sharp people were on. That one stings. That's the worst bridge jumper I saw that failed. At least there was no safety.
Yeah,
there was no
defensive touchdown was one, right? Then some people have
people did lay that, I guess. I know Pizzola had that stung. A couple other people had that. No defensive touchdown. I can't remember what the price was. I know people that bet no octopus. That's some of those big numbers on those. Those are scary.
Yeah. That honestly, I'm surprised that didn't come through with. We had 3? You said you had 3 2-point attempts down the stretch there. Oh man, I'll remember this one for a long time. New Orleans, amazing city. I got my swag here. I'll show you the people at home. This is my rope hat for the Super Bowl. I actually bought this as the reward for our Super Bowl party prop sheet. We had everybody hosted everybody and let them fill out the sheet. I won, so I win the award, which is great. Another kind of crowning achievement of what was a pretty special Sunday. I mean, let's talk a little bit about the game, I guess, itself, and unless there were any other kind of wild, ridiculous betting angles you wanted to cover, because being a little bit divorced from the scene, I don't exactly know what's going on. Like the first I'm hearing of this Ariel Epstein coin flip fiasco, which
you gotta, I mean,
that's something that would have occupied way too much of my life in a normal week before, so I think I'm glad I'm not.
No, there. You gotta get back. You just gotta limit it. Like I've tried to stay.
There was like a weird pedophile fiasco too, apparently, that I'm not plugged in on.
I mean, no criminal charges have been filed against those men. They just really, really implied that they might go there. So the gambling Twitter always gets weird, but it usually waits until after the Super Bowl when everyone gets bored. It's usually not the week of. And should we compare swag?
Oh yeah, what do you got?
I tell you what, the Super Bowl is fine, but you know where you need to go.
The scouting combine. Oh, nice. That's some good swag.
About this mini. It's like an autograph ball, but I'm not gonna go up and get autographs. Those for the kids. I should sign it myself. I probably 90%. I haven't told my wife I'm leaving town yet, but 90% I'm going to go down to Indy because that's a fun time too.
Well, yeah, say hello to everybody there because I'm sure it's going to be a great time. Everybody that you talk to at Super Bowl week, just in general. So I'll do 3 quick stories and you can kind of comment. Okay. One, everybody that you talk to Super Bowl week is like just burned out and like done with the season, done with the NFL, and they're like so close to the finish line.
We were.
What are you talking about?
We didn't want. I barely wanted to do a podcast last time.
Oh, come on! You still had the fire. You came up with a great format. Are you kidding me? We do that every year.
You would never know. I always bring 100%. Just because
Okay.
I'm not feeling it doesn't mean I don't bring my A game every week.
Yeah. But yeah, the vibe is very like beaten down, and like a lot of like the really well respected writers are just generally like complaining about the state of media in the industry, and it's a rough kind of scene. Everybody like trying to get to the finish line, and they all say the same thing, which is they can't wait to go to the combine, because like I think after a couple of weeks of just kind of sitting around twiddling your thumbs, they're just dying to get back into the the NFL like energy and just drink with all their friends, which
No
sure is fun.
offense to the drinking that happens on Bourbon Street.
Yeah,
But the combine it's basically all it is just even when they just drink at the hotel. Like, there's some people that get after it pretty heavy in Indy because it's cold. You can't like go outside and walk around. You find a bar.
I like that.
I'm sure there's plenty of drinking at the Super Bowl, but I mean, you're right. I think a lot of people do look forward to Indy because it's just networking and drinking with people that you know.
Okay. Fun story and then a not fun story. So, on last week's podcast, I was complaining about not getting oysters, and I just couldn't find oysters on the half shell anywhere. And eventually went to Koshan, had the amazing wood-fired oysters that I was glowing about. And that guy recommended, he was like, you should try the Rusty Nail if you're looking for half shell. And I was like, okay. The Rusty Nail was literally like this dive bar, kind of under the freeway, like kind of close to the convention center. And I was immediately like, oh, I'm absolutely going there, like no question. Twist the arm of 3 of my NBC colleagues to come with me after we were done recording on Thursday. And we saunter in. There's a handful of people in there, get martinis, and then I've been talking up the open faced, the oysters in the half shell, all day. These guys have never tried them before, and I'm like, oh, don't worry, like it's not scary. Like, I'm sure you just haven't been around good ones. Like, these are going to be good, I promise. And the choice of this raw bar, the choice of oysters and where they came from was like 15 or 16 long like choice places you could pick from. So I was like, wow. I was like, multiple from Washington, multiple from PEI, like 10 from the Gulf Coast. And I was like, okay, I guess actually I need a little bit of help here. And thankfully, when you go to order, the first option is Shucker's Choice, Andy. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, the Shuckers, they know what
it's like a sommelier for oysters. Is there a name for that? There should be a name for that.
For the sommelier for oysters? We'll think of one.
We'll think of something.
But so it was Shucker's Choice right at the top. And I was like, oh, give me a dozen of the Shucker's Choice. Let's go. And they showed up, and the 2 beautiful little PEIs, 2 beautiful little Washington oysters, cold water oysters, a couple of nice looking ones from Florida, and then 6 wild caught Superior Louisiana oysters. And the reason I'm saying it that way is because my eyes about fell out of my head when I saw these things. These things were the size of a fist. I was like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like,
we cut these in half?
I need a steak knife and a fork here, because like this is obscene. Like, I don't know how I'm going to eat this. And I had put myself in a position with the group I was in socially that I had to like play it cool and be like, yeah, this is no big deal. I'll just eat these. These are big, but whatever. And 5 times bigger than any oyster I've ever eaten or seen in my life. And I ate them all. It was great. Had 2 martinis, and highlight of the trip for sure. They were incredible. Like, I did not know I really liked oysters in the half shell to that degree. They all had like really kind of interesting vegetable notes, like celery and kind of interesting peppery flavor too. Like, I was blown away. They were incredible. A lot of saline brine, obviously, but beyond that, like other cool stuff you could tell, which was great. But I kind of regretted not just firing on like the 12 pink moons from the PEI, which I've had before, which were unfucking believable.
anytime you end up near a major body of water, you just have to get them, especially for me. It's different for you, but dude, I live in Minnesota. It's like a food desert for good, fresh, you know, it's just really, really, really expensive. It's only the really high end restaurants that get, because they get it flown in daily. And even that, not quite as fresh as what you'd get in, Obviously, I've had some good ones in Oregon. I've had some good ones on the East Coast.
I've never had wild oysters before. I've never had superior oysters before, and I don't know if I would get them again, other than just to see the look on somebody's face who really likes oysters when they look at the size of these things. I'll send you the pictures.
I'll have to see that. Yeah,
like, I'm not even joking. They were the size of a fist. Like, I don't. It's not an easy hang. Anyway, so that was a funny story.
Yeah, we do get walleye up here. I will say too, there just off that there was a place, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was in Napa.
Yeah,
and it was like a food. It was like an indoor. You go into this indoor building. It's huge, and it's like a bazaar.
Okay.
There's all these food stalls and stuff.
Yes.
And they had
this is in Napa proper, not Napa Valley, but Napa the town. Right?
The town.
I know, like Oxbow, the Oxbow Marketplace or something.
That sounds right. Yeah. They had a really nice little oyster shop, and it was like that where they had a bunch of different choices. And I'm like, can you just bring me a dozen mixed and matched of whatever's on here? And that's always the way to go.
Well, yeah, they're going to be.
What's your sad story? Your sad Super Bowl story?
As kind of the thing, as is natural in sort of public opinion, the way the ebbs and flows of sort of public opinion, there was a healthy anti-gambling vibe among players and media, especially the hardcore, like long-standing media. It was cool and a novelty 3-4 years ago to be on Radio Row and be a DraftKings or a FanDuel or just have a betting show or be betting related at all. It was all of a sudden it was a point of interest then, and then then the top came and it went quickly. Like the overall sentiment about betting and betting media and it being somewhat negative and toxic has set in already. And it was very, very obvious.
You got the stink eye from who gave you the stink eye? You just have to tell us.
I mean,
I might be a hold of football during the podcast guy now. I don't know. This feels like plus it's tiny, so it makes my hands look huge.
Yeah, it was pretty notable that and I don't know if this is like people's, like they're just tired of seeing ads, or if they know people who have somehow become kind of like gotten themselves in trouble, or like just in general, like, because like I had conversations where I was literally like, listen to the stuff we're doing. Like, we're trying to be relatively educational. Like, you sound like an idiot who is like, telling teenagers they should be abstinence is the only way. Like, they're gonna fucking bet, like teach them safe sex, right? Like,
I didn't think you were gonna say bet there.
That should be your mindset.
You kind of switched metaphors.
Well, I mean, that was like that. That was like my that was like three of those conversations where it was literally like people would like like 2 years ago, the most common question would have been like, oh, wow, you're really into betting? Like, how does that work? Like, what are the like mechanics behind it? Like, we live in California. How do you even do that? Right. Like, those were the common questions. People had general interest. And this time it was like more, the tone of the questions was mostly just like, can you quit? Like, are is that even possible for you?
It's a good segue for
another big question was like, do you feel guilty? Like, kind of leading lambs to the slaughter, right? Like, that was the tone of these conversations I was having. I was like, we're on the outs real fast, which is kind of I was blown away by it.
You want to hear my most fucked up opinion?
Hit me.
Because I don't even know what like political or philosophical philosophy this falls under, but because there's been so much of this in the Twitter spaces lately, where people are finding out like, these kids who have Discords that are charging $100 a month don't even understand basic probability. They're just betting. They're betting on vibes.
Sure.
And it's the community shit, and like people are, and there's a lot of good cases to be made. Sprague and his chart, basically anything that, back in the day before they tried to sell you stuff, what Rufus would say, all the warnings from smart people, Captain Jack Pizzola, all the luminaries who talked about the stuff. I don't give a shit about touts and people trying to sell you stuff. It's not like it's unique to this industry. Like maybe a little bit because the barrier to entry is so low, but like it's kind of like the people that look down on different ways to make money. Like I don't look down on the odds jam, tater tot kids who like
What?
just
I don't even know what you're talking about.
People that they're just arming,
Okay.
they're just
Okay.
they're using tools. People like turn their that like top down, bottom up, arbing, account bonus chasing. Like I suppose it's a spectrum, but you know what? Touting falls on that too. You're just a salesman at that point.
Oh
like,
yeah, sure.
Honestly, like some of the people, like you have to learn that lesson. I think it's just like a good touch the stove moment. Like I'm basically fine with touts, even if they're super, super scummy, because I think it does teach you a good lesson in like, oh, like I got had. Like this should teach you something later in life. And I have a little story about that. I had a business partner and we were much less busy in the winter. And we'd go to the casino like every Friday. It was like 20-hour work weeks. And we'd always, we were always looking for ways to make money too. And he's seen this thing, and I don't remember if it was in the paper or on like Craigslist or something, but it was like make money stuffing envelopes. And it was like make up to $3,000 a week stuffing envelopes. And he's like, man, it's $20. I'm going to send him this $20. And I'm like, you know what? Take it out of the account, whatever. It's just $20. Find out what it is. And it was funny because all that you got was a piece of paper in an envelope telling you how to like do what that person did. Like, here's all the places I place ads telling people they can make money by stuffing envelopes. And then you get those people to send you the money.
Unique.
He's like, you get those people to send you money. And he's like, the sheet of paper I gave you, make copies of that and mail it to him. He's like, it cost you whatever an envelope and a stamp cost back then. And he had $20 to pop. And I'm like, I remember that, like his face when it came. I'm like, this was a good moment. This was a good moment for you.
I learned something valuable.
Yeah, the get rich quick scheme stuff. So like,
well, we live. I mean, I guess I
bought picks like
I'm not going to go so. I know I'm not going to go so far as to say I don't have a sincere, just a little bit of a, kind of disapproval, I guess. But I don't think also it's worth kind of. I mean, it's not worth really having this conversation right now because is so tired. But like, funny. Like the old scam of you find 100 people, you're like, I have this guaranteed slam dunk lock, no doubt about it. And you give half of them one side and half of them the other. And then the ones that win, you go back to them the next week and you're like, I got another one. This will not lose. You give one half and one half. And then by the end of this, if you started with 100, you have 12 people who are like, this motherfucker said he could not lose play, and it won 3 weeks in a row. Like, how much does he want for the fourth? Right? Like that is kind of tale as old as time, and like that that sort of kind of just preying on the fact that we're in the scammiest of times, which is what a lot of this is a little bit depressing.
I guess, it is depressing, and there is a little bit of disapproval, but at the same time, I respect the hustle, and I respect I respect it's something I don't have in me. I think I respect people who can do stuff I can't, and the part where they can be just like so soulless and like, and to just like scam people. I almost respect it because it's just something I haven't. And I even when I had to, work in my own company and like trying to sell people something that was a good product, I struggled. Yep. Like, you know what? You're right. You don't need to spend the money. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Sure. I hated trying to tell people to buy something. Yeah. It is funny too. Like, and I will one more because you made me think of this with the, give people half. Years and years and years ago, before I met you, before I had this Twitter handle, I had an old Twitter handle, and then I discovered like gambling Twitter a little bit. Probably like 9-10 years ago, maybe. I bought some picks.
Sure.
And I mean, this guy always would advertise his wins. And he's always like, hey, 2-1, 3-0, 2-1, 14-8 this week and whatever it was. And then he'd always put his I'm up this many units on the year, up this many units. And, if you're not reading them every day and you're not doing the math, it's like, oh, that's a shitload of units. Like, and I'm doing the math, and in my head, I'm figuring out like, well, I'm just going to subscribe to this guy. And then I'm going to move to Vegas and I'm going to place the bets in the morning, and then I'll just play craps and have fun all day. I'll be by the pool. So you subscribe to his thing. I paid whatever it was, and I get the first email. I believe it was emailed picks, and it was like 3 college football plays. And it was, whatever, Western Michigan plus 13, 10 units. And like all 3 of them were 10 units. So like everything he ever sent was 10 units all the time. So it was just everything he had on his thing was just a multiple of 10. So it's like, oh, I'm up 100 units. Like he still did well. I honestly think he was good at it, but he was like, he made 10 units a year. But it looked a lot better when it said 100. So there's always something like that. It's funny, boy. We got way off the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Anyway, I am nervous because it has been, to me at least, it has been very, very difficult to break through, in terms of creating media, doing it the right way, right? And we're not going to lose any type of, focus here. Like we'll still keep doing this the way we do it. I think we'll continue. We'll continue to improve our process. But like, it is crazy that like, that I kind of assumed that the long arc of legal gambling in the U.S. was going to have some bumps in the beginning, and there was going to be like crashed out pretty early, and like the retention was going to be pretty thin of people who stuck around and decided, fuck this, I'm not going to be a long-term loser. I'm going to find a way to like originate for myself, or at least find people who are like communicating enough information that I can find ways to win plays. And like we have a very, very I would say like the sharpest community of any of these in the deep dive Discord of people who are like that, but the number of them is very small in the grand scheme of things. And I feel like the tide has already swung where that's not going to like grow exponentially of like people who kind of find gambling and get passionate about it and decide to stick it out. And it's just too many people. They just can't, like, they can't think that way. They weren't educated to the degree that they can even entertain building a model or coming up with fares, like, or figuring out what probability
or
means,
or
right?
they don't have the time,
or
they don't have a job and kids and a life,
Sure,
that sort of stuff gets in the way for sure.
Or they have gambling addiction, discipline problems that take them out of doing it, even if they could. All of that said, I feel like the kind of arc happened way faster than I was prepared for. And I do worry very much about whether there are some hard decisions that are made about like how to serve the current appetite for people who want gambling content, and how to do it responsibly, because it's doesn't really feel like we've landed the plane here.
It's funny too, because we are crazy close, and we've already started to see it. I've seen Playmaker push it. I've seen a few other companies push it. Like, I'm sure we'll have content on some of our sites, at least written, surrounding affiliate deals for this. Is casino iGaming.
Mm-hmm.
So like they're starting to get licensing in more and more states for like, hey, instead of putting $200 into the sports book, what if you played slots instead? And that's going to be pretty prevalent pretty quickly here, which is even worse, because those are just like, a slot machine is just, it's just a percentage. Like, hey, it's a 95% return to player.
Yeah.
So if you play $100 once, you should roughly have $95.
Yeah.
You do that again, you should roughly have like, whatever, 91.25. Like,
yeah.
you do that 20 times and your money's at $1.15. You have to luck out. And it's funny. It's like people that play scratchers or pull tabs. You basically have to luck out early and then just never play again. Like, you have to hit something big and then just never play again. A high volatility game that hits you a jackpot, and then you quit. because those games are not there. I guess the thing about slot machines and casinos, they ain't soup kitchens. They ain't there to give you their money. So
no,
it'll be interesting to see where we head from here.
Yeah, I mean they like presumably these places. You look at their bottom lines. They're doing well. Obviously, they can still afford to buy commercials. They can still afford to do all of the marketing they need to continue to bring new customers in. And they've obviously caught a lot of the whales. So like they have their whales that they are maintaining. Presumably people who can afford to lose. But yeah, like this happened. This happened fast, and I don't know that there's going to be some big old breakthrough where you meet enough people doing radio row enough years, and then all of a sudden you're just kind of generally accepted, as opposed to that's that freaking scumbag gambling guy, which was that was my role.
So I've had that too with golf credentials.
Sure,
I remember I'm able to get golf credentials. Outside of I'm not going to be able to get into the Masters. That's awful tough. But normal events, we haven't had trouble with that being, BetSperts and BetSperts Golf. Ron's gone to Detroit. Noonan went to a few events down around Chicagoland. Mm-hmm. But I remember I asked Reed, my boss, CEO, about it one time. And, I'm we talked about inside the ropes and stuff. And he said that they're a little this was 2, 3, 4 years back. And he's they're a little hesitant about the gambling reporter stuff right now. But now, I mean, at this point, ESPN it's funny. ESPN has
if you have deals and then you have to just tolerate it. If you have a deal with
ESPN has a show now.
You have to tolerate it. Yeah.
Yeah. ESPN has a show.
A golf betting show?
Well, they did a watch along something for 2 of the rounds for 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon, which is funny because God bless them. There's some good people on there and I like everybody who's doing that show, but I do not understand who that show is for. Because you know what golf bettors don't want? They don't want people talking on screen, and they don't want extra hey, here's a fun bet for this one hole that you can live bet. They've made all their bets already. I'm sure some people are live betting. You know what they want to do? They want to watch golf shots. They want more golf shots. That's all they care about. It's show more golf, more golf players. It is funny. I don't know what the answer to that problem is. I mean, it's show more golf shots, but it's it's interesting. I had a couple comments I highlighted. I want to go back in quick. I didn't mention this, but there were 7 or 8 people that I follow or knew that had Jahan Dotson first touchdown at 70, 80, 90 to 1.
Oh,
because it looked like he scored. He looked like he scored, and he did not. I mean, it was clearly down. AJ Donaldson says he has a bottle of St. Elmo's cocktail sauce. Whatever people tell you about that sauce, they are underselling it by about half. It is sticking real wasabi in your fucking eyes. Absolutely. It is 98% horseradish. It clears you out. Yeah. It clears you out.
Yeah. Shrimp cocktail is that's oysters with training wheels, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, it's good though. You have to get it because it's just a thing. Okay. Alex says we're all tired of ads. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember when we were bitching about DraftKings ads 15 years ago for DFS. I remember they're just man, they have a lot of ads. I get it. I'm gonna play DFS Sunday.
I guess I get it. All right. Well, in summary, I moved the market in the Super Bowl, which may be the only time in my life that happens, but I could not be happier with that. And then the outcome and the enjoyment that I got of watching the Monstars just absolutely dig a giant hole and bury Pat Mahomes in it was pretty special. And I don't think this mattered. This doesn't have long-lasting Mahomes legacy implications.
That's
legacy implications. Shit. This was just the team that was playing the best, that the arc that was very clear heading into this game, that was fully healthy and fully rested, played their best game of the season. And I don't know why more people didn't see it coming, but that is fine. I've been on the losing end of Super Bowls that I didn't see coming, like the Buccaneers doing this to Pat Mahomes. So I can't be judgmental. I will just say that it feels very, very good to be kind of on the right side of a moment in a game like that. And professional credibility for me never been higher with the people I was talking to in the case I was making, and how strong, because I was snowball rolling downhill last week, man. By the time we got to Thursday, I was literally like, oh yeah, this is going to be like 31-0 at some point. Like, I don't know what I was saying, but it was literally just like absurdist, high confidence.
That's my biggest regret, is because the more I talk to you fucking put it in my head. But the more I talk to you and other smart people, I wanted to tweet like a final score prediction, but like a ridiculous one, like where it was, Eagles 45-10 or something.
Yeah.
And I kind of regret not doing that now, because it would look a little prescient. But I mean, you always have to talk your book. You don't put a score prediction that goes against you.
No,
so fun game.
Storylines for the offseason that you're especially interested in?
Just again, we do this. We try to do this around the Super Bowl.
Let me ask you: is there a single move that would materially get you to open a book and look at a price?
No, I mean, not. I don't.
There's not a single player. There's not a single player move that would be like, okay, I got to look for a price for a team blank.
No, I mean, the quarterbacks that are going to move, probably Cousins, Tannehill, if he comes back.
Tannehill? Is that even really?
No. Somebody threw that out there. Like
Darnold,
he's
Darnold,
better.
Cousins, Rodgers. Those are your three veterans.
No, but I'm saying
Russell Wilson.
I'm saying Tannehill is better than like the quarterback free agents we have out there. Because if this is what we're getting out of Cousins, and he's not a free agent, he's just possibly somebody that could be moved if they want to eat that sort of money. But like, it's Rodgers, it's Jameis, I believe. Like, I don't know. The big move could be Stafford, and again, that could get me looking at something. But man, he's a 37-year-old man. That's a tough one to get excited about.
There's going to be some quarterback carouseling based on what we're hearing about the enthusiasm for the drafted quarterbacks. So there'll be some funny, weird stuff that happens, I'm sure. None of the quarterbacks.
Darnold probably stinks.
You know what I really hope, Andy? I really hope Kirk Cousins ends up on a team that has like a decent infrastructure and a good offensive coordinator. And I can play a trick on you all year next year about believing in Kirk Cousins and that team being good, being highly rated. Because I got to tell you, my ears perked up like lightning when he did some media at some point last week and was talking about how he had shoulder and elbow injuries to his throwing arm that were undisclosed from like the time he started sucking till the end of the season. And I was like, okay. Like maybe he's bullshitting so he gets a sniff, but like it did seem pretty amazing the degree to which he turned into just a human corpse at the whim of Father Time, as it seemed. I would say I would love to be able to buy low on Kirk Cousins and have that be a running beat the dead horse next year. So we'll see. Anyway, Myles Garrett moving wouldn't make you open a book.
No, he's a defensive end.
Really?
I mean, there's a lot of really good defensive ends who do not make their team win. Myles Garrett being one of them. Like Myles Garrett was great this year. How good? It doesn't matter if the rest of the team isn't in place. I don't think he's suddenly like, oh, this team doesn't have a quarterback or an offensive line, but they got a pass rush now. Like, I better go bet them to win the NFC.
The idea of him asking for a trade and ultimately going to another,
he won't get traded. Browns is my prediction. He will. He'll be a Brown next year. Is my opinion. Yeah, I don't think they trade him. Because it's going to be limiting because he's going to want to go to certain places, and if he doesn't agree to sign there, I think it's going to be pretty limiting.
The silence after the trade request was deafening, and that I think every team is going to make a very fair offer. Every team that was trying to contend, I think is.
It's funny. It's funny that the free agent market is essentially someone's going to pick up Sam Darnold, someone's going to get T. Higgins, and the rest of it is pretty weak sauce. Like
Mm.
Godwin's a free agent, but coming off an injury, he's still on the right side of 30. You know who's a free agent, and I don't know if they'll sign him. So the Eagles have some free agents, including Zach Bond, Josh Sweat.
If they have to, they'll franchise him. I'm assuming.
I wonder if they just
Sweat. I don't know, but Bond surely is coming
Sweat.
back.
I think is gone, but yeah, you could just franchise tag him, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, there's not a free agent, or honestly, there's probably not a draft pick where I'm just like, oh, I should bet this team right now.
Okay.
You know, unless you can say like this guy goes to this team, and it's specifically like, man, that's kind of what they're missing.
Okay.
You know where I'd love Myles Garrett in Atlanta.
Atlanta. Okay. I'd like to see him in Washington first and foremost.
I mean, everybody would love that.
Yeah, I would love.
That's like a team we've all just gotten behind. It's funny how we just hated that team because of the franchise, the owner and.
Well, I don't want this to be I don't want this to be a flash in the pan for them, and they have the rookie quarterback.
No, exactly.
So
they're easy to cheer for.
Some pretty absurd stuff. Anyway, One Step Closer asks, in the spirit of Valentine's Day, can you power rank your top 3 budget Reds? I mean, budget is a little in the eye of the beholder, I suppose, but I'm on record as a Bonanza guy as far as budget red blend. It's a Bordeaux style blend by the guys who vent Camus. And a funny story, I went to a barbecue on Monday in the Big Easy, and they had a wine selection, and Bonanza was there. And I was like, oh, you have Bonanza? And they're like, yeah, we knew you were coming. And I was like, wow, all right, good. So they've heard my praise for what is a terrible branding, just ugly like label, but very good. Very good wine. So Bonanza's in there. If you like a Pinot Noir, I am a very strong proponent of Albon Clément ABC. Pinot Noir comes from St. Ynez Valley. It's got a purple triangle label, so it's easy to pick it up visually when you're looking at the grocery store shelves. And I'll think of a good third budget wine here, unless you have an entry.
It's funny. I don't have recycling pickup out where we live, but we still recycle because that's picking up 1 grain of sand and throwing it in the ocean to save the beach. But I bring it to a place, and I did that today, and I dumped it out. And I looked at all the wine bottles. And it's funny. There was a Bonanza when I was done. There was a Bonanza sitting on top. I'm like, oh, it's from a couple weeks ago. We got
to reach out.
There's been some cheap Coppola again, and some of that stuff's decent, especially when it's at that price.
Okay.
I just got a text from I got a question for you.
Yeah, hit me.
Because my wife also doesn't do Twitter, but she does Facebook.
Oh, yes.
Which is me constantly telling her, no, that's not true.
That's not true.
Like, nope, that's made up. Like, please
not
fact
true.
check that. Nope. Sorry, that's Facebook again. Not that people don't lie on Twitter, but she sends me just the dumbest shit all the time in text. But I love it because God bless her heart. So she sent me a picture and says, you've just acquired a non-human 80s sidekick. Which one are you choosing? And it has pictures of Gizmo.
Yes.
From
Gremlins, yeah.
Falcor from
Never Ending Story.
Never Ending Story. Howard the
Duck.
E.T. from E.T.
E.T. Yeah.
Harry from Harry and the Hendersons, and then Ludo, little known Ludo from Labyrinth, the big guy with the horns.
Yeah.
And she's like, she texts me this shit while I'm working. Who are you picking? Who are you picking?
She needs to know. Yes. Yeah. You seem like a Ludo guy, obviously.
Really?
No, I don't know.
Falcor by 1,000,000 points, right?
Falcor?
It's a flying luck dragon. You see at the end, he's like chasing his bullies on him.
Oh, Year of the Dragon was 2024, man.
Yeah, the Falcor is right. I mean, obviously it's Falcor. Right. That's what I'm dealing with over here while you're power ranking wines. Okay. I did have a couple things that we missed on the I wrote a few things down. The off-season warning that we give after I just said go ahead and buy.
Draw down your account. Put it in Bitcoin.
Guess what? Whatever you're betting right now, let's say you're a college basketball bettor. If you bet some, because props are, you just have to get little bets down everywhere. you know what? Like, no disrespect to a place like this because they have props up and stuff, but my bookie is not going to ever have the best price for a college basketball game if that's what you're betting. Probably not going to have the best price ever for an NBA game either. If you were dicking around in there doing props and golf and stuff, take all the money out of there. Just put it aside, buy Bitcoin with it. Like that's kind of what I do after the NFL is like, am I ever going to bet golf at this book? If the answer is no, you just take the money out of it. You either put it in a book where you are betting golf or set it aside in crypto or just put it in your bank account.
Yeah, just stake down, especially if you won. Stake down. Like draw down, stake down, like give yourself a breather. Like it's good. The NBA or lock in a couple futures. I have 2 for you, and you can rate these, Andy. Rate my handicap. You ready? First one is a best picture future, and it is a juicy one. But Scanfield Films asks, any other Oscar awards you're looking at besides best picture? He, of course, is referring to the fact that we talked about Honora is shipping this fucker.
It's kind of getting some heat.
I think it's done. Honora, if you don't already know,
is too long.
Well, Brutalist is the kind of film that always kind of gets lauded at the DGA and the PGA. PGA, of course, is the Producers Guild, DGA, the Directors Guild. And Honora took both this weekend, that was a huge upset. And it didn't even really tell you, I don't think, that people love Honora. I think it told you that people do not like the Brutalist, which if you're in, like, you need the support of the producers and the directors if you're going to win a movie like that. If you're going to win a best picture with one of those type of movies, it's got to have the support of at least those categories. This week, I believe, is Screen Actors Guild and Writers Guild. We'll see who they support. But if Honora comes out as the winner of Best Ensemble Cast in the Screenwriters Guild, it's over. It's winning Best Picture as far as I can tell you. And honestly, I would make it like 80-85% for Honora right now. And I laid the prices. Other Best Picture, other Oscars, I have my eyes wide open that Adrian Brody's in trouble for Best Actor. Some of this is literally trying to read the tea leaves on the Producers and Directors Guild. Like, if Brutalist couldn't find an audience there, like, this might not be as big of a smash home run as people think. And there have been kind of some interesting polymarket signal there with Timothée Chalamet getting at one point massive support kind of out of the clouds, which to me, I think would be the kind of outsider choice. Not
they should give it to him just because they kind of hose Dune 2 so hard on. It should be like a
make up,
mash them together.
Yeah, yes.
Like you should
a year achievement award.
Yeah, you were Dylan and Lisan El Agib. Like you get it. You just win now.
Yes. Eyes open on that for sure. And if you kind of have to be watching the Screen Actors Guild live with Polymarket open to get and bet on that, I would say, because it's going to go if it goes.
Did they take it down at Bookmaker during those award shows?
Oh yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It pops at Bookmaker at real weird times. I've never seen it open when it's happening live.
Sure.
I think actress Demi Moore is pretty much home. I think director is interesting, but I would lean Baker right now with what happened again at the DGA.
Have you seen The Substance?
No.
Me neither.
I have only seen Dune 2, I think. That's the only movie.
I talked a big game in the movie chat, but like, I'm gonna watch these two. I still haven't watched Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah, while I was in New Orleans all week last week, my wife was like, well, I don't want to get into a new show when I'm not around. So she's like, I'll go through some of the Oscar movies. She made it through like half of one and was like, this was a mistake. I'm out. I have not seen anything besides Dune 2. Yes, I can confirm that. The best director, Sean Baker. That's already Steam too, actually. You could have got that at Plus Minus recently. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Watched the Cardinals one. I watched Conclave.
You saw Conclave? Oh, look at you.
It's good.
Don't expect a surprise in the supporting actor or actress. It will go to Mr. Kieran Culkin and Miss Zoe Saldana, I believe.
Is he nominated for that thing he did with Facebook guy?
Yeah.
That was good. Did you
You
see
saw that?
Yeah. Dude, if it's on like streaming for free, I'm gonna be like, I'll watch this on on whatever Saturday afternoon.
What was your picture? Your best picture of the year?
Oh, I mean Dune 2.
Dune 2?
Because it's the only one I've seen, and I loved it.
Mm.
And I'm a happy, I've read the books through a couple times, so I'm like a Dune head, whatever. But
What?
I did enjoy it.
So Matt Porter
I like
brings
that
this up,
like that Kieran Culkin movie though. That was
SAG
pretty
is
good.
most important for the actor Oscars because it's the same group of voters, surely. And actually, it's kind of noteworthy because if you look just at the nominees for the ensemble casts, that kind of gives you an idea of where the actors want to go with the best picture. And The Brutalist didn't even get nominated. It was left out in the cold. So there could be a steal for best ensemble over Anora, which would make that would make things a little bit more drama. But if Anora wins best ensemble cast at the SAGs, then it's going to be minus 1,000, I would say, on Monday morning, probably. And that's probably correct. Maybe it should be higher, honestly. The late edition for me of one of my most favorite watches of the year, by the way, I saw on the plane on the way to New Orleans. Civil War. Have you seen that? It's on something streaming, I'm sure.
It is. It's been on streaming for a while. I keep pushing it off because it feels like very
it's
prescient.
very good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, actually.
Okay. I do like. It's crazy how he was just like did they like
it's on Max? Yeah.
I think the first time I ran into Jesse Plemons was on Breaking Bad as like a side character, one of the neo-Nazis of like season 6.
Sure.
And it's like, man, if you squint, is that just like really weird looking Matt Damon? Like, who is this kid? And then obviously he was in everything. And what's the Western one with Benedict Cumberbatch is pretty good. And I mean, he's hilarious when he does comedy too. I kind of like him. So I'll have to give that one a watch. I've been putting it off.
Yeah, he's got a tiny sliver of a role, and Link is.
Yeah, well, I've seen the clip. I've seen the clip. Yeah.
But yes, it is. It was.
Well, that's his wife.
That was a worthy watch.
Yeah. Anytime she's in a movie,
yeah.
Anytime she's in a movie, he just gets.
Yes, the main guy who was Pablo Escobar from Narcos.
Yeah,
he fucking rocks. That guy's.
He's
awesome.
They're very good as a couple in Fargo, the show as well. That's a good season.
Okay.
He does that one. How can that be profitable for Frito-Lay? That's my favorite Jesse Plemons line for sure. Have you watched? Have you started a new show? I mean, just spitballing off that.
Yeah, I'm going through Mr. and Mrs. Smith right now. I'm about halfway through.
Is that good? I've heard good things. I like Donnie Gloves.
It's a little slow.
Okay. I like the movie.
I'll give you a thumbs up, thumbs down when it's done.
It's the same premise as the Jolie thing.
Every episode to this point has been 50 minutes of real, like you kind of want to just second screen. I'm gonna just go watch NBA while this is on, and then 10 minutes of like, wow, something's happening. And that's like the formula for the show. Is there's a lot of slow burn relationship stuff between Donald Glover and the Maya Erskine, who was famously Maya Ishi Peters of Pen 15. The general vibe is I'm hoping that there's a payoff, but to this point, I need more.
Yeah, obviously Severance is hot in the streets, and Severance is so good. So that's one of the streaming services I don't keep all year round because
Apple TV, you just go 3 months at a time and blow through it all.
Well, yeah, it's like. Well, I remember after I watched Severance and a few other things, like, fuck, there's nothing else on here. I'm going to cancel this one. So I have it again. So I watched all of Silo, which is good. I've read those books. Like, that was like one of the first books I ever bought on, like, I remember the Kindle. When you would first I remember when I got a Kindle and you could I'm just buying books online. It's just going right to my Kindle. This is awesome. Silo is very good. Right now, I'm obviously waiting for new Severance, but I watched Shrinking with Harrison Ford and Jason Segel.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Okay,
and the best character is oh god, I believe he plays Darcy's husband
Mm,
on Married with Children. Ted?
okay.
Like, do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the neighbor's husband on Married with Children. He's just a little minor role in there, but he's just fantastic. He
Okay.
just brings a smile to my face.
I would say
So
nine
shout
out
out
of
to
the
that guy.
9 out of the last 10 shows I watched were swings and misses. The only one that was a hit was the Penguin, and the Penguin I was surprised was not like the absolute smash critical darling of last year. She had 2 husbands.
She
That's
did
true.
have 2 husbands.
But yes, Penguin was amazing. I'm
I
not
did like that
a comic
lot.
book guy at all. Like I am very much not a comic book fan. And I really, really enjoyed that. Mostly I still am mind blown that was Colin Farrell for all that.
Yeah, that's a lot of makeup. Like they really did a hell of a job with him.
Yeah. So that
great.
yeah, except I'm trying to get to the SP. Oh, you know what else I watched, which was fucking crazy. I did not know that this was a real story. It was Say Nothing About the Troubles. Like it's about like the little sect of the IRA. Oh my god.
That's next. That's next on my list.
I cannot believe that is a true story. And I had never heard of any of it. And I was like jaw on the floor for 3/4 of that. And it never stops flying. Like that one was hot. Yeah.
Shout out Food Snob Frog does his end of the year TV show rankings. He put that one high.
And I hadn't send that to me.
I hadn't that's on Twitter.
Give him some shit. Oh, okay. I thought he was like giving you the full.
No, he's done this for like 10 years. He has puts it. It's the same spreadsheet, so he has a tab. You can go back and look. He's like, man, he's like, this Game of Thrones show is pretty good. Like, it's funny going back and looking at his old, but yeah, they definitely
it's a downer. Like, don't expect to be uplifted up in the cold months of the winter.
Well, what you do is you watch
real rough.
So is it a TV show or a movie?
Crazy. 9-episode TV show. Each episode is like 40 minutes ish.
So you know what
6.5 hours. Yeah.
If it's a really big downer, you watch an episode, and then you watch 2 or 3 episodes of Dairy Girls, and they can bring your spirits up a little. I love those girls.
Yeah. Instead, I basically did the math, and I was like, I have 6.5 hours to get home from the time I get in this Uber till I'll get home out of an Uber. So I'm just gonna watch the whole fucking thing. I just absolutely binged it on my flight home from New Orleans. And that was amazing. I probably should have spread it out so I could kind of reflect on it a little more and read about it as I was watching.
All right, that'll be next for me then. What's it on?
Ooh, man, is that good?
I feel like it's on
Hulu,
Paramount or Hulu.
Hulu, I think. Hulu. We'll say Hulu. But yeah, it's based on the novel by Patrick Radden Keefe, which I kind of want to read now, honestly.
Yeah.
Although it's probably a lot of the same stuff, so maybe I already know it and it wouldn't be that interesting. The other bet I had for you besides the Nora Best Picture, did you bet any of that, by the way?
No.
Do you think my case is strong? Should that be 85?
It is. What's the current price? Is there anything up?
I think the last click I had was 215. Yes, is still 215. Okay, so there goes my respect at aforementioned book picker. They're going to give me another
this
quick
guy
on
can't
that if I want
get
it.
this guy can't get 2 in a row, right?
I guess maybe they might be chaining to Polymarket, which saw a little bit of a dip, I guess.
I'm seeing 275
in the flat out awards market. It is, but in the yes no props,
you got a props,
yes
you get a better
for
price.
215. And they moved. I took that up. The last click I sent it was 230, and it's come back down. So somebody's knowing that at me.
Well, that's how it goes.
Softly. It's not a very impressive limit. The other kind of major healthy action that I have kind of put to work is OKC West.
You don't believe in these Lakers?
I don't. The defense for the Lakers is going to get run off the court.
That's fun. That
they
makes
run
fun
into
basketball.
Oh, hell yes, it does. Whenever they run into someone that's decent, could be the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, we'll see. They are going to get run off the court. The general kind of concept for this was born in a funny way. want to say Jay asked me, he was like, well, would you take Field over Thunder? And pulled up my numbers. I was like, right now I'd make them -130 or -140, something like that. I forget what I said, but it was kind of in that ballpark. And they were like +107 at the time. And I'm like, why am I not betting that? Like, what is holding me up on that? And I was like, I thought maybe I had like a little bit of an outlier opinion there, right? And that there were other basketball, people who really kind of get involved in the betting space who were cooler on them. And the first 3 individuals I pinged, bing, 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 they were like, oh no, I'm more like, they were all on the other side of me. Some of them way on the other side of me. And so I was like, oh, fuck, like, is this just sitting there? And like, there's just like, people are waiting to try to get like series bets on them or something. Like I kind of can't really tell you why this happened, but this happened with the Celtics last year too, where I was at like, I want to say -180, -200 for them, and they were +100 to win the East. And everyone I talked to was in the same place who was making numbers where it was just like the fundamentally, you can't convince me that the Thunder are any worse than like a +10 as far as a team goes.
Well, I think maybe it's just
like
because it's
+12.
February, Drew, and you got to build in some sort of entropy for like they're gonna play
nothing. But we like the dance cards, like the dance, like
injuries.
Well, the only thing that could really happen with the Thunder is getting healthy or integrating.
So no one's allowed to get injured. I'm just saying there's a lot of season. There's a lot of time left, and an injury or two, and suddenly.
If we're talking about Anthony Davis, if you're talking about Kawhi Leonard, I'll listen to the long tail of this could get gross. But we're talking SGA is never. I didn't not jinx.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he's the only guy. He's the only
this.
No, he's the only guy that you can't live without and have this still be a very valuable bet, I think. And even then, like this Thunder second unit is sick. It's like, okay, you're gonna have to make up for that. If you lose SGA, you can make up for that offense somewhere else with the pieces you have, and you're probably going to just end up playing more Alex Caruso, and you're going to have like your defense could get even better than what is currently the best defense in the NBA. And so I think ultimately, like, I'm probably low on these guys because I have turned down some parts of the way I project out kind of series pricing for the fact that they've only ever won one series as a group. Like they don't have the the reps, the legacy of, like the Celtics did last year. Had they at least that core had made a run to the finals. And so it was like, you didn't have to squint hard to be like, yeah, they've learned some things. With the way the last 2 seasons ended for them, they should have learned things. And
I still think it's just the timing, Drew, because I don't know that this number is like you said. What happened with the Celtics last year? You could still get a very reasonable number heading into the playoffs, where I think these people have said, why would I tie up my bankroll that I can turn? If these people are serious NBA bettors that are turning it over night in and night out on games, on sides and totals or props, why tie it up when you can get, maybe 20 cents worse in a month or two? And then also know that, SGA didn't blow a knee out or something in March.
Oh, everybody's volume goes down after the All-Star break. I don't know, man. I was surprised. I'm surprised. I'm surprised and kind of confused. I feel like there is a hair of doubt in people's minds because they haven't seen it. And I'm saying that because that was in my mind. I was like,
and
I don't really feel like
nice
firing
on
all this.
Series prices too.
Yeah, limits are $20K a click right now in the West
market. No, but I'm
market.
saying limits are fine on series prices if you want to just
look, I went through all of the possible iterations of path for the Thunder. There is a world where series by series rollover, their West price is like -600, right? They could draw Kings round 1, Rockets round 2, Grizzlies round 3. And in that world, like, yeah, you're getting 600. 400, 600, somewhere in that ballpark, right? And so, like, I think I was kind of fixated on, well, what is the worst case scenario for them? Like, they could draw the Warriors and then the Lakers and then the Nuggets. And I kind of mapped it out, and I'm like, that's 130. Like, do I really want +107? I don't know. But, like, they're a +10 10, 11, maybe 12 once they get Chet incorporated if they stay healthy. The next best team in the West is a +6 in the Nuggets, maybe. Like that is a chasm of space between best and second best.
playoff Timberwolves as a +8. They're regular season 4. It's like a I'm a 6, but I'm a work 8.
Okay. Once Anthony Edwards is in his groove, they got to get into the playoffs first, man. They probably will. Fine. They are the masters of the plan. They own the plan. They got the banners to prove it. And yeah, I mean they could be at more full strength. I would assume DiVincenzo comes back at some point healthy. Randall, I don't know, man. I don't think the Wolves are for real. We'll see. They could be spoiler though. I just don't think it's going to be against the Thundy. All right. Well, so you're not sold on Thunder. You want to? I
am. I'm just trying to find some reasoning that the market is not close to your price. And I think it is still.
I will tell you that a team that is like they're and again, like you synthesize all of the player level contributions, and you have to winnow down minutes because it's going to be a shorter rotation that doesn't hurt them. They are still like +11, +12. That is rare air in sort of team rating NBA. And I think the kind of general comp is probably like the first Warriors team that went and won against LeBron, right? They had the one kind of viable series where they almost beat the Clippers the year before, and that was their only experience as a young core. And then they marched through a West that was pretty weak with a weak path. And I think that's kind of what's coming here.
Buddy, I just watched the finals. I can't help you there.
You don't remember that team?
I kind of, but I don't remember the playoff series they went through. You know,
the team rating for this Thunder is not that different
non-finals.
Than the KD Curry Warriors.
The only non-finals series I can remember that isn't like a Timberwolves series I went to is Oklahoma City. Versus the Warriors.
Good one.
That was a banger of a ECF, WCF.
The first of two blown 3-1 leads.
That was a fun one. That whole playoffs, that was just the best playoffs there ever have been in probably any sport.
Best final game, certainly. Best championship game.
Kyrie, shot maker.
Best fourth quarter.
We didn't talk about commercials. I really didn't spend a lot of time paying attention to them, and I don't think there were any good ones. The one where Seal was weird. The girls, as a girl dad and a girl sports dad, I liked the flag football one. That was good. Harrison Ford made me giggle with his Jeep one. Other than that, no. Bad Super Bowl for commercials.
Didn't it all feel like AI mashups gone wrong?
There's a lot of AI now that's like, there's a tweet going around about like, oh, look at this AI video we made. It's going to replace Hollywood. And everyone's like, that looks like absolute dog shit. Are you stupid? Do I need to come to Europe and hit you with a hammer? Like, we would have killed him with hammers. I can tell you that much. My God. I don't know. AI slop. The truest tweet that's been sent all year is the one where it says a poorly done, like a purpose. I think maybe it's purposely done, poorly done Photoshop is 10 times funnier than AI slop, because everyone does this thing where your quarterback's playing bad. Well, let's use AI to make your quarterback's jersey and put it on like Shane Gillis, or like somebody who wouldn't be good at football who's funny. like they just keep throwing those out. I'm like, yeah, this was funny once, but like now it all looks the same.
I gotta tell you, I think they have wildly overpromised. It is just a massive plagiarism machine, and I honestly don't know what the utility for it is.
I I think I've brought this up before. I like AI quite a bit for like, hey, I have to write an article. Put together an outline for me. It
Okay.
really because the thing about creating anything content wise is like getting that first 5 minutes done. Like starting is so hard. And it's a really nice starter for that. But if you ask it to write the article is going to sound like you have a brain injury. Like, there's some of some of the sentences it will put
Yeah.
together, and it's getting better. But man,
Have
some of
you
the
noticed?
sentences-
Have you noticed the AI generated stuff that's out there that has the
Oh, yeah.
pictures with the caption that is just describing what's in the picture, as opposed
Yeah.
to like
So
Kendrick
that
Lamar at the red carpet?
So
It's
that's
like
a
man,
mistake.
African American man dressed in black. It's like
So
what?
that is just a coding mistake. Like
Oh.
that is 100% just somebody screwing up, because what that is supposed to be is probably the alt text for, there's alt text on a lot of
Oh.
images for vision impaired people, so they can say,
Oh.
well, there's a picture. I can't see the picture because I'm having the phone read me the tweet or the Facebook post.
Also, still describe who's in it.
Yeah, I know, and so that's probably wrong. I'm saying it's a double
Okay.
fuck up.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
like it should be correct, and it should be the alt text instead.
Okay.
So yeah, I've seen that. And it's not only that, but it's just incorrect in like 100 different ways as well.
Okay.
Like I've
Well,
seen it in sports betting.
maybe they fix it. Maybe they don't. Maybe we never
Let's
find
do
out.
it. Let's get into AI for about a half hour before we close things up. Actually, you know what else AI is good for? Email. I've had to
sure.
do some email marketing for some stuff.
Sure.
And it's like, hey, write me 20 good subject lines. Because you always have to ask for like 10 or 20, because there's going to be some horrible ones. Or like naming.
And this, you would think this is time saving as opposed to just coming up with the subject.
No, it usually does like jog something good. It's
Okay.
almost like you got to use
you need to be prompted, and you're the
think-
editor. Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah,
You
and
need
I
to
think-
instead of the full generator, you need to be the editor.
I think, well, you give it a prompt, but I think that's where it's like using it as a sounding board.
Okay.
Or using it as like an idea thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny that there's a comic strip about that or it's something, a meme where the person uses AI to write a whole email. Hey, look, I took this one sentence and turned it into a whole email. And then they send it to somebody. And so it's like, hey, look, I summarized this email into one sentence using AI. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's on Gmail now.
I know, but like, you know what sometimes is effed up on the summary thing? Like a friend of ours
I've never
texted
clicked it.
a friend of ours. Well, now my iPhone does it automatically. Like if you get 2 texts in a row from someone or 3 texts in a group text that you're in, it'll try to summarize it into a one line. This is what's going on here, in case you don't want to click through and read all of the text messages, which I don't know why that's so arduous, but fine. And the one we got today from our buddy, it got the key information backwards because of the way he worded it. And what I mean by that is he's saying he's going to wreck workouts at the combine. And the summary was like, this guy's going to do poorly at the combine. And I was like,
well, that doesn't make a lick of sense.
I was like,
what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah. It's like, well, this doesn't make sense. And then you click through and you read all the context and you're like, okay, that's not at all what you tried to just summarize and tell me what these things said. It was in fact completely ass backwards. And that's happened to me at least 5 times since I've been getting these, kind of abbreviated text chats. The only thing it's gotten right has been everyone's wishing Aunt Cheryl a happy birthday. Like, oh,
That's
great. Oh, great. And yes, of course, happy birthday, Aunt Cheryl. Anyway,
one more. I don't have a whole lot. We're just kind of wandering around, but I did have this one right down. This was something. I feel like we do like a New Year's resolutions in August episode. We say, here's what we want to do different. And it was fun because it really did turn out well into the previews. I really thought it brought a certain panache to the previews, and it made us a little more accountable on like, hey, here's my numbers. And it was always fun when you're like, holy fuck, I'm not even close to that. Like when we disagreed big on a rating, that was always fun. But I think there's a moment in time where you need to look at that now, kind of going back, I had this next to the, hey, drain your accounts if you're not going to use them for whatever sport you're going to bet, or maybe your Suma. That guy is like a monk. It is wild. He literally doesn't bet soccer. He doesn't bet tennis. He doesn't degen things for fun. He bets NFL football. And when football is over, he just doesn't bet again until the fall, which is
incredible.
Something. I mean, just the self-control, I guess, from that is something, because one of my biggest leaks early on, and still to this day, is sometimes bet a little too much soccer for fun, and I'm not good at betting soccer. But
do you have any Champions League, by the way? Right now, I got EPL on lockdown. I'm holding 650 on Liverpool, and today's result did not make me very excited. I got to tell you, Andy. that
late goal and Goodison.
That blew. Anyway,
it was a good match.
The fucking Toffees, man.
You know what's crazy? I knew that. I guess I knew this, but I didn't know the number. I didn't know quite how close it is. Those two home stadiums are 0.6 of a mile apart. Like, they're just like across
the street.
Yeah, it's like across there's like a little bit of nature and a stream, and then I saw a drone shot. It's just nuts. It's basically yeah, I mean 0.6, that's like 5 blocks, man.
Yeah, that's way close. Did you get any Champions League futures out of looking?
No, I don't have anything. I joked about it that some PSG. I was fishing for.
What do you think about Dembele? What do you think about Dembele top goal scorer? Because he's at 6 right now. He can catch. He can eliminate the top 2 guys in the market, because it's like number 1 is a Barca guy, Lewandowski maybe, and number 2 is another Barca guy.
Where's Kane?
No. I don't know who the other Barca guy is, but Rafinha. Those are the 2 top guys on the market right now, and they're at like 8 and 9. And there's a good chance that if and when PSG advances, that they draw Barca, and then Dembele could potentially eliminate the top 2 guys.
I haven't followed the goal scoring at all. I was worried about Kane having.
Kane's at 6, but Bayern Munich is about to. Bayern Munich's potentially going to run into Atletico Madrid. Oh, he did. Maybe.
Yeah, he had one against Celtic.
He could run into Atletico Madrid.
It's funny. I bitch about this because I'm a little ADHD, and like sometimes I see a video clip and I want to watch it, and I'm like, oh, 4 minutes. See, I don't. Ooh, it's a little.
I'm pretty busy. I'm pretty busy today.
I didn't ask for the director's cut on this one, but I watched a full 6.5 minute interview of Rod Stewart down on the pitch for Celtic, Bayern Munich. He's like half in the bag. It's pretty funny because right away he's like, buddy, I've had a few.
He's like, full on Joe Namath thing.
Just like 80-year-old Rod Stewart being Rod Stewart. He was awesome. So I did watch that today. Anyway, this back to me. We got way off topic again. The off season. So what we do is the New Year's resolutions in August. So I was like, what are we going to do different to improve our process to get better at betting football or something? I think the biggest thing I run into when we start on that episode is I wish I would have done this months ago. And that's what I wanted to push, kind of was my final point for today. Today is months ago, guys. Like,
true.
Here's the thing. If you want more data on NFL, it's out there. The play-by-play data is out there, and you honestly don't need to learn that much coding to pull it into R and sort it out a little, or even just save it into, if it's small enough, save it into some CSVs and play around with it that way. If you want to get a lot more data, I start now, set aside a half hour a day to learn how to do that. If you had a project last year you wish you would have done as far as just like a data gathering or some sort of research project to figure out, this, that, or the other thing. I had a few of those. It's a good time to do that is like right now.
Surely.
The same thing, extra prep. If you had all this stuff where it's like, I'm doing this and I could have done this months ago, just to have this ready to go for the season for my process or whatever. Just do it now when you're bored, when you're watching college basketball, NBA hockey. There's not a lot going on. You're watching golf. Set aside some time. That's been my main focus right now because I'm, the newsletter's going to be more infrequent. I'm going to doing more golf stuff, but I'm going to have a little more time and
do some autopsy newsletters. Like literally just be like, here's what my numbers were, and this is where I very strongly regret taking blank, blank, blank. I'll contribute some of that.
I looked into that. I just
autopsy.
I think that's my biggest one too, is like there was a little bit of a negative consequence to spending 3x the time on my power numbers that I did in the summer. Normally, I wouldn't have spent that much time and broken it down like that. I had just a lot more priors, and I trusted my numbers a lot more. And there was a few spots where it's like, man, my numbers say this, and I disagreed with it a little more qualitatively. And I made a few bad bets, just trusting on those a little much. And I think it kind of was the same. I got away from that in the Super Bowl a little bit because I said this last week. I said the price I have for the Eagles isn't like, oh, this is a banger. Like if it's week 14 and my price compared to what the actual price was, it was like, oh, this is like the fourth best bet on the card or something. There's always going to be bigger edges than this. But at the same time, the qualitative stuff, the pass rush stuff that I was really looking at versus how their offensive line was looking. And basically the other part was they either have to go 100% all in on stopping Saquon, and then they're just going to get picked apart elsewhere, which they did.
Yeah.
Or Saquon is going to murder them like, Jack the Ripper or another famous killer. And, they went with column A on that. And I just said, well, this is a good bet, even though there was probably some weeks I wouldn't have made that Eagles bet.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't have as big of an Eagles numbers, you guys. I was at like a pick 'em. Which is still,
I turned it down because of the intangibles. I was at almost 3.
Yeah, I knew some people. I heard some people talk, and they had some pretty Eagles heavy prices. But I think my goal would be to get better at the play-by-play stuff. I'm not nearly as good at picking apart and modifying and looking at that data as quickly as I should be for some of the stuff, because that's always nice for trying to find some, how often does this actually happen? I think having that sort of stuff at your fingertips would be a very useful thing for pricing Super Bowl props next year. If you want to get better at, hey, I want to make a lot of money on the Super Bowl props, I think looking at some of that historical data and having that at hand would be better for you.
You want a fun tip from me is if you're only going to bet the NFL, listen to Andy. Draw down, spend your time doing if you want to bet NBA playoffs, I would not recommend building a model to handicap any regular season NBA from now to the end of the season. If you don't already have the infrastructure, I would just pass. But build the infrastructure so that you can take fair prices of games and blow them up to what should the derivatives look like, right? Like, and specifically kind of give yourself those tools. Like, if you are betting into NBA series anything and you can't answer the question relatively easily of this team is minus 400, what should minus 1.5 games be, right? Like, if you need to be real able to answer those types of questions, and you can build some pretty simple and easy to maintain tools to do that, because it literally, like, you have the key input, which is the market price of a game or of a series, and you'd be surprised where there are kind of clear and obvious busts in that. And we'll talk a lot about NBA betting anyway, but I could not recommend highly enough. If you don't need MATLAB, you don't need I don't know why MATLAB was the first one that came to mind. That's what I use, but you don't need R or Python to do this either. You could, if you're proficient with Excel, you should be able to come up with some pretty quick and easy ways to do this. But yeah, then
It is amazing what you can do with Excel, guys.
yeah,
Go read some of Andrew Mack's books or a
yeah,
lot of other. The best way to
great
learn
call.
Excel is Google.
No, just dig a little. Don't just take the AI answer.
Oh my god, I always scroll. I always scroll past the AI answer. It's always bad.
Yeah,
It's usually not right. That is the other thing about, like, back to the AI thing. AI does have trouble with sports. Like, I wanted a really nice looking list of the draft order,
yep,
and I asked for the draft, and it 100% just gave me last year's draft order.
of course, yeah.
It's like, well, that didn't help. I'm like, do I have to? I like to yell at AI. That's part of my stress relief during the day.
I love it.
When I tried to use it to summarize 3 articles, and I copy and pasted all 3 articles. I said, summarize this into 1 page of notes. Just trying to see if something could save me some time. Pick out the information and nuggets, and they were sports articles. And it said, I should go find what it said. It's like, we're not allowed to take sides on political or issues with elections. And I said, you fucking stupid. Like, literally, I typed that stuff in. I'm like, are you fucking stupid? This is about golf. And it'll always apologize, like, oh, I'm so sorry. You're right. Hey, send it to me. And then you do it again, and it'll be like, I can't do anything with politics and election issues. Like, you gotta be, then you just give up and read the articles. I thought it's funny, so I thought I was going to save some time. Ended up spending 10 minutes arguing with AI.
I love it. So yeah, if you're going to bet the NBA playoffs, 101 is give yourself the tools to build some derivative prices efficiently. The 301 test. Look at series state and kind of look at specifically how, what's the arc of a series? What changes from game 1 to game 7? How does the market change from game 1? Closing number change from game 1 to game 7? Where are there certain bets where if you get in early enough, you can almost guarantee yourself CLV with a given series state, right? I would basically say if you can kind of do some residuals analysis on games as a function of what's going on in the series, that'll very much help you navigate game by game betting for the NBA playoffs. And you'll probably find some fun things that maybe I don't even know about. Tell me about them in the Discord. So yeah, I think that is, that if you're betting game by game, you almost have to sort of have some of those in your back pocket to help, because otherwise you're going to get caught, you're going to get caught out of bounds. Like, I got information that says the line should be this. It's not. Why? The other stuff I'm sweating, just if you're curious, I mentioned Liverpool to win the Premier League. That they took away my cash out option on that, which makes me a little annoyed. So
Ride it.
What? I can't.
Ride it.
I know I wasn't going to cash out, but I liked seeing how close that was going to get to 99.9%. I'm sweating Heat to win the Southeast plus 350. That same Miami Heat that is hanging it to the mighty Oklahoma City Thunder right now. I have some Bournemouth top 4 at a monster price. We'll see if that has a sniff. I don't know. In the awards markets in the NBA, I am fully right now team Zach Edey. This is the dumbest awards market we've had in the NBA in at least 10 years. Going back to probably the Malcolm Brogdon Rookie of the Year award, because the rookies, they have been bad all season and they somehow continue to get worse. And we have a favorite in Stefan Castle right now, who is like actively hurting the Spurs being on the floor. So I don't understand at all how that doesn't ultimately get rectified with ED, but we'll see. I got in at 14-1. I think that is a fair price if you can get it. I would really, really love Mr. Malik Beasley of the Detroit Pistons to be your 6th man of the year. I'm going to be campaigning hard for that down the close, particularly because Peyton Pritchard is leaking oil in terms of his output. I think he's a vulnerable favorite, and I don't think there is a second choice better than Malik Beasley. Evan Mobley, most improved player, is a hope and a dream. I have that at 75-1 right now, and I don't know. first-time All-Star. We'll see if that has a chance. If he can run down the great Cade Cunningham and Norm Powell, I don't know how to do that, but I hope it'll come through. I mentioned Oklahoma City already. I mentioned Honora, yes, already. And for college basketball purposes, don't bet college basketball. They're just kids. But I took some Maryland Terrapins at 150-1 to ship because I think everybody's flawed. Like everybody in the top 15 of T rank is like, can't create turnovers, can't shoot threes, exquisitely slow pace. Like there are red flags with like every team all the way until you get down to like Missouri and Maryland, and between those two, Maryland looks like the better team, so we'll see. But did you know we live in a world where there could be 14 SEC teams that get bids?
Yeah, I mean, also just like Auburn and Duke are very good. Don't dog on them.
Are they? They just both lost.
It's a long season. Auburn's lost what,
Duke
twice?
got embarrassed by Clemson. Auburn is probably going to pick up their second loss in a week here against Alabama this weekend. I don't know, man. We'll see.
That line. I don't know. That'll be like a pick.
We apparently live in
It'll
a
be
world
a good
where
game.
we live in a world where the field for the NCAA tournament could have 14 SEC teams, 10 Big 10 teams, and 8 Big 12 teams. Like,
Well, it sounds gaudy, but all those conferences keep adding teams.
I know it's gaudy, but it's just like the committee is literally going to have to be like misseeding just so that it's not like a random region ends up with four SEC teams in the final in their round of 16.
It's going to happen. I mean, it's just going to happen. I don't think they're going to. I don't know if they take that into account very much. It's going to be just such as life. We have 10 Big 10 teams. You guys are going to play each other. Dude, that Big 10 commercial, it's going to be like, eventually it's going to be going over like Greenland and Iceland. We're going to fly back. It'll come back into Canada. You got the University of Regina. Yeah. None of those teams are very good. But neither's Rutgers, so.
All right, man. Well, it looks like LSU and South Carolina would be only 2 SEC teams that don't go dancing, which is amazing. All right, let's wrap it up. Anything else you're sweating in February, March, or you're gonna draw down all golf? Yeah,
all golf. They
moved Genesis
and the thing about golf is too, and granted, you should check out ProfitX. They have some pretty good prices. I should bet there. But
do you have an opinion on moving Genesis to Torrey Pines?
It's fun. It's awesome. It's basically a major. Like, this is a major venue. We used this 5 years ago for a U.S. Open. I know it's not going to be set up that hard, but the fact that it's a signature field that's basically only missing the live guys and Xander because he's injured. It's a top tier field. It's got a cut line, just like basically like the old Masters one. And we're at Torrey Pines South Course for 4 days. It's going to be wet, soft, absolute lettuce for, some rough. They said
they expecting to get the rain that we're getting tomorrow.
Oh yeah. They might not. They might not play on Friday.
Friday's not going to rain. They're over promising.
I think it's going to be like Friday morning, pretty heavy down in San Diego, though. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll have to. That was on my list. Is check the weather tonight, because I think it might get pretty ugly. And the wind is pretty big too. Like they're talking 25-mile-an-hour gusts coming. Yeah,
that's Well, after we get a storm, that is always kind of the tailwind comes through. But no, the big rain is tonight through tomorrow afternoon, early evening, and then it peters through the night. I don't think it's gonna rain much on Friday.
The fun part is it's wet. It's not like Augusta where they have sub air under the landing areas and everything. So it's one of the longest courses on tour. And when your ball hits the fairway and doesn't roll 30 more yards, it's gonna be a bad time for some of the people who can't hit long.
That's fun.
So I mean, it's gonna be sopping wet. It's gonna play like 8,000 yards. It should be pretty fun. There's going to be some bad times had by a few people.
Oh, that's fun.
It'll be good. I miss Riv. I love Riv, but It could have done a lot worse. I really was worried they were going to play just fuck it. Let's do Arizona twice.
Are there any Barrancas in Torrey Pines South?
No, but there's cliffs.
Yeah, there's certainly
You could fall off a damn cliff.
They're gonna have the guy in the fan.
The producers of golf, producers who do golf on TV, they love guys surfing or swimming. They love the guy walking on the beach with the dog. That's a classic, bumper reel into the commercials.
Great beach there.
Love the beach stuff. I think that's it's just gonna be golf for a while, I suppose. I'll bet maybe not bet is the right word. I'll have like Prize Picks and anywhere else that lets me entries on the combine. Once that comes around in a couple weeks.
I still have my balance in there that's been rolling over now for 2 years.
I'll definitely be betting the draft soon. I'm working. I almost have another mock done. It's hard. There's so many guys that are like, you're a borderline first rounder, but there's 50 of you. Like it's not in a good way, Drew. It's not like, oh, there's so many good players. It's just like there's like 10 really good players, and then there's like 50 other guys that could get drafted in the first round, it feels like. And it's fun reading other mocks because there's a lot of disagreements on that. Obviously.
I dig it, man. So. All right. Well, good luck in the golf, and hopefully gets you excited for Del Mar Breeders' Cup. It's just down the road. Torrey Pines, like barely down the road from Torrey Pines. So I'm wearing a Santa hat now. I love it. All right, guys. Have a great week.